So then I had an apartment tour somewhere else. So I drove to the place. I arrived there and I couldn't figure out how to get into the apartment. So I contacted the leasing agent person and I told them like, hey, like what's going on? Like here's the address, just want to know like how to enter. And he's saying, send me the code on the lockbox and like I will give you the code to get in. And I'm telling him there is no lockbox here. And so he's saying it's on the railway, like this, that, and the other. And I finally sent him a picture and I'm like, there is no lockbox here. And so he gives me the whole rundown. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The last person was supposed to put it back. I told them to put it back. And hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are not new, welcome back. Some of you guys may know me because I did make a few YouTube videos a little while back. I took a big break. For the people who are new, let me introduce myself. My name is Rebecca. I am a 25-year-old mom. My son is 19 months old and his name is Quincy. I had him back in April of 2022. And just like a little backstory about myself. So I did do YouTube for a little bit and I like to share my life online. And I did it a lot before I had a baby. And I stopped primarily because my content was mostly based around 420 things. But my goal's always been to do lifestyle. So I had my son, I got pregnant and I had my son and I fully expected to get back onto YouTube and start sharing my life because that's what I've always wanted to do. But, and I'm sorry if I'm breathing so much, by the name of this YouTube video, you'll probably know why, but your girl hasn't got used to it yet. So since having my son, I was full-time with him. When it came time for me to return back to work, I decided not to go back and just stay with him full-time because I just couldn't picture myself leaving him around that time. So I was a full-time mom, but I also went through a lot with him. He was colic. We think he had a dairy intolerance. There were a lot of issues with him that really just added to me and my postpartum depression. So I got hit with postpartum depression really hard. And it was a struggle for a long time. I think just trying to learn how to be a mom. My baby was very fussy. I didn't know how to handle it. I thought that I was going to be like the perfect mom because I have been around babies for so long that I struggled mentally a lot because I was struggling in like my overall life, if that makes sense. So there's a lot to unpackage there, but getting more so to the point of this video is that coming up until this point, I decided that I wanted to go back to work as a medical assistant because if you guys are new here, I am a certified medical assistant. And I wanted to get back into my path of trying to become a registered nurse. I really want to become a labor and delivery nurse, mother and baby unit, and then eventually I want to become hopefully a midwife. So that's kind of a little bit about me. So without all of the back story, I kind of gave you guys a little bit of a rundown, but where we are at now is we saved a lot of money and I had decided that now was a great time to go ahead and move. And I've always wanted to move out of state, and coming up recently my partner finally agreed to come with me. So if you guys seen by the title of this video, I am from California, Bay Area, California, and I decided to move to Colorado without any prior trips to Colorado. When I decided to move to Colorado, actually the first time that I flew out here was to do some shadowings. So I'm gonna kind of talk about the process and how we got here in this video. So grab a snack, grab a drink, sit down with me. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, like, and comment on this video. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys kind of how everything went and how we ended up moving states. So I do want to apologize for that lengthy title. I know that people who are just coming in here to hear how I moved states, you probably don't care, but I just wanted to give everybody who is going to stick around on my channel a little bit of background about me. So how we moved states. So the first thing is deciding obviously where you want to go, and what state you want to move to, if you want to move out of the country, different things like that. This is the first time that I've ever moved. Let me also just say that. So we had narrowed it down to 3 states. Being from California, it's obviously very diverse and it's very accepting, so we didn't want to go to a state that was going to take a lot of our comfortability away, I would say. So we had narrowed it down to 3, which in no particular order was Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. Specifically probably like Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington area. And I've been to Oregon before, but I've never been to Washington. Like I said, we just wanted to make sure that we were going to be comfortable in the place that we moved to. So I've always kind of wanted to move to Colorado. It's very similar to California in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of just what I went for. Just kind of head in. We were looking at apartments in the other states as well, but primarily we were kind of just doing a lot of our research for Colorado, excuse me. So the first step was applying to jobs. I wanted to make sure that I had a position out here before I got an apartment or actually physically came out to Colorado. So I was in Texas visiting my family at the time, and I had applied to a bunch of jobs, and one of the first places that I had applied to was called UC Health. And if you don't know, that it's one of like Colorado's top kind of medical big big companies out here. It's like big hospital and things like that. It was like the #1 Colorado hospital was with the UC Health company. So I applied to a position, and these are all full-time positions. I applied to a position with UC Health and then a couple of other places. A couple that were in the bigger Denver metro area, and then a couple that were in Colorado Springs, because like I said, previous to actually moving, we had never like visited, so we didn't know if we wanted to go to the Springs or we wanted to stay in Denver. And so I applied thinking nothing of it, because mind you, our timeline was actually, we're speaking in September, I think in September, the end of September, and our timeline was kind of to like January. So like we wanted to move around January, February. But because of circumstances in our life, it kind of switched the whole timeline around. And I was kind of just throwing it out there into the universe to see kind of what would happen. And UC Health actually reached out to me. UC Health reached out to me, and then another smaller kind of office job had reached back to me in the Denver area, and another job had reached out in Colorado Springs. So I had my pick of the bunch. They wanted to schedule an interview with me, all 3. So I scheduled all these interviews virtually, because we did kind of communicate about the fact that I was going to be relocating into the area from California, and that I wasn't going to be able to do an in-person interview, and so a virtual interview was going to be the best choice up front and like very quick. And so we got those scheduled, and I interviewed with them while I was in Texas visiting with my family. And the bigger hospital interview did not go good. It was so uncomfortable. I talked to my family about it, and they think that the candidate was picked before I had even got there, because it just very much felt like, I don't know, like she wasn't even listening. She really didn't even care what I had to say. But one from Denver area and one from Colorado Springs had both messaged me back and said that they were basically interested in me, and that they wanted to extend an offer. They wanted to extend an offer. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. And so the one in the Denver metro area had asked me to fly in if I was going to be in town, to come in for a work shadowing, where basically I would just go and shadow for like an hour or 2 and get a tour of the office and see how it is. So when the Colorado Springs position had reached out and said that they wanted to extend an offer, I had told them about job #1 and how I am trying to choose the best option for me, because I am coming in from out of state and I'm going to be the one that's working full-time, so it's very important for me to have good pay and good benefits. So I was very vocal about all of these things, which they appreciated. And so when they heard that I was going to be in town and I was going to be doing a working interview for another position, they asked me if I wanted to go do a working interview for them. And so of course I said sure, and I was flying into town. I got everything set up. I had to rent an apartment. I had to rent a hotel. I had to rent a car. and then obviously pay for my gas and food and expenses when I got here. I got into town with my partner that trip. He actually came with me. We stayed in Denver, and let me just tell you guys, the flight to get there was delayed like 5 different times. We were in the airport. I don't even want to go over it because it was such a horrible experience, but like, Frontier, just don't do it. It's so cheap, but girl, that whole itinerary to and from Denver we were delayed 2 times. We had to stay in the airport for 12 hours. 12 hours. Don't get me started. But anyways, the first time that I went to Denver, I had to drive from Denver down to Colorado Springs to do the working interview with them. And then when that was finished, I drove back up to the Denver area and I did a working interview with the Denver Metro practice. And so I had to decide at that point which one I liked better. And the thing about the ophthalmology, the thing about the Colorado Springs office is there's just more things that I would have had to learn, and they were trying to pay me less money. And while I do want to learn a lot more things because it can make me more of an asset to employers, I also am moving to a whole new state. So we just decided to go with the office that was in the Denver metro area because I have experience in that specialty, and I was a lot more comfortable with the office overall. So I secured my position. I had to let them know when I was going to be starting, which was about 2 weeks out from the time that I was doing my working interview, which we ended up having to extend and push back because the apartment hunting, the whole shebang was so difficult that I had to get into an apartment first. So there was a lot of back and forth there. So I was supposed to start in the beginning of November, but I ended up starting closer to Thanksgiving. So once my position was secured, we came back. I had to fly back out, and it actually was just me by myself. My partner couldn't come because he had to finish out his working position where we are now, or were in the Bay Area. And so I flew up by myself, same thing, hotel, rental car, all of that, and I had to look on Zillow. I use Zillow, I use Craigslist. I don't recommend Craigslist because there were so many scams that I went through that it was just unbelievable, but Zillow's gonna be your best friend, I swear. Just put in your price range. We were trying to get a 2-bedroom apartment for like $1,100 to $1,300, which is very slim in the Denver metro area. In Colorado Springs, that might have been a little bit more realistic, but since we were moving to the Denver metro area, all around Denver, it's more likely that you're gonna get something for like $1,500 base going up. So, and that's even still, you know, you're getting a good deal. So we had a hunt. We had set up an apartment for day 1. I think I had an apartment tour, and I went to see that apartment, and it was okay. They had a rooftop balcony. The apartment was pretty cute, you know, it was a good size, but that place actually had a lot of reviews for having roaches in their apartment. So I went to go see the apartment just for kind of like, I don't know, just to see, I guess, just to compare. But I kind of knew in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to be signing a lease with them anyways. So then I had an apartment tour somewhere else. So I drove to the place. I arrived there and I couldn't figure out how to get into the apartment. So I contacted the leasing agent person and I told them like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, here's the address. Just want to know like how to enter. And he's saying, send me the code on the lockbox and like I will give you the code to get in. And I'm telling him there is no lockbox here. And so he's saying it's on the railway, like this, that, and the other. And I finally sent him a picture and I'm like, there is no lockbox here. And so he gives me the whole rundown. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The last person was supposed to put it back. I told them to put it back and something X, Y, and Z had happened. So I had said it's okay. Is it okay if I come back tomorrow? And he had agreed. So I just went back to my hotel for the night and got up the next morning. And when I headed over, I arrived and he never texted me back. He ghosted me. I was pretty upset. At this point, I was crying on the way to the next apartment tour. I was just so overwhelmed because I had came out here alone and it was just a lot at the time. I mean, like I said, this is my first time moving out ever, so moving states, I definitely underestimated how stressful it could be. So I was in the car and I headed to the next apartment tour. I was just trying to hold those tears in as much as I can, try to wipe so that they didn't know that I had been crying. I arrived to this apartment and we don't have furniture in it yet because this is the one that I chose. We don't have furniture in it yet, and I will release another YouTube video so you guys can see a apartment tour when it looks a lot more put together. But I will put the clip of me doing the tour. So I met with the leasing agent. I filled out a couple of papers just to say that I was looking at this apartment, which apartment it was. He asked me how many bedrooms we wanted, what price range, and all this. And we snagged a 2-bedroom with the pet rent that we have to pay. It's $12.15 a month. So really good deal. It's a cute apartment, and I will show you guys what it looked like bare boned right now.
Trust my emotions. Is it the heat of the moment? Cause my heart just exploded when I saw your face. Cause your eyes held me captive. Ooh, I ain't asking for ransom, and I'm still not reacting. What am I waiting for? Am I afraid I wanna talk to you? I should've known, I should've stopped for you. Ooh.
Are the bedrooms the same square foot? No, they look similar.
So that's what it looks like with no furniture in it. It's so cute. I love it. It could always be better, but then again, it could always be worse. I've seen so many apartments that did not look nearly as good, and for the price point that we're paying on it, I'm very, very grateful for it. So once I seen this, I kind of got that feeling like this is it. Like I knew instantly. And when I walked out to the car, I got confirmation that pretty much everything was wrapping up. And so I put in the application for this apartment, paid the $600 deposit, which does go, was a $600 like holding fee. And that just means nobody else can apply to the apartment. And then if you're approved, the $600 goes towards your deposit. And if you're not approved, it gets refunded. So I paid $600 on the site and got the application in. And I think it was within 24 hours they had approved us. We packed all of our things in 2 cars. My car, we actually paid to get shipped here so that we could drive together. And then we packed my boyfriend's car up to the brim. I will put a picture of my son next to all the things in the car because I don't think that I have a picture of like the actual car. So here's a little bit of, you can see the morning that we left that he is sitting next to a lot of boxes. So just like that, we headed out on our road trip, which was set to be, I think, about 20 hours to drive from California to Colorado. On our way here, about 5 hours in, our car broke down on the side of the road. We had 2 cats in a cage with us and a baby. It was very stressful. We had to pay $300 to get our car towed to the nearest town, which thankfully wasn't a bad place to get towed to. We had to put our car in a shop. I think his fan was broken, temperature gauge, and one other thing I can't remember, but it was about $850 to fix. We broke down on Wednesday, and so we stayed Wednesday night, overnight Wednesday, and they said they could look at our car Thursday morning, which they did. Shout out to the garage and to Hatchapee if you guys are ever in the area. That shop is amazing. They contacted us first thing Thursday morning, let us know that it was going to be the fan and how it was cracked, and then they wouldn't be able to get it in until Friday morning. And then by Friday, literally by 10, maybe 11 in the morning, they had already fixed everything. And we were on our way. His car is on its last leg. We had a lot more problems with that, but we did make it to Denver, so I'm super happy about that. And we got here. We still need to get furniture, which is why I'm not going to show you guys the apartment, but we're slowly but surely kind of fitting everything together. I started my new position 2 days. I think we got here, yeah, did we get Friday? No, I think we got here Saturday. We did overnight. When we picked our car up, we didn't even stop overnight. We just drove the whole time. It was insane. And then I started my new position 2 days later. So that's where we're at now. That's kind of how we secured everything. I secured a job first, then I flew back out so we could do apartment hunting. I applied for the apartment, got approved, went home, packed my things, and we came out to Denver. And I have a lot more to tell you guys, but this video is already getting long enough. If you guys have any specific questions on how I did it, or I don't know, anything more in depth that you want to know about, definitely leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. I always link my social medias down below as well, where you can get into contact with me and ask any questions that you guys would like. I am a medical assistant. Like I said in the beginning, I got certified, so I'm doing a lot of content coming up about how I got certified and how to help others get certified. So if that's something that you're into, don't forget to subscribe. And I'm just doing a lot of household content. I just thought that talking about where we are now and starting fresh, it was a good point to come back to YouTube, and I'm able to go from this point onward instead of looking back in the past. So I'm on a good vibes right now, high. So I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye guys.